Napoli fans around the world, welcome to Napoli Talk. Napoli defeat Lecce 2-1 away from home, and as the title suggests, I believe that Napoli were quite lucky to get away with a win. The second goal from Lecce was an own goal, bit 50-50 between the defender and the goalkeeper on who's to blame, but definitely two mistakes there. And Napoli looked slow, they looked out of ideas, they looked sloppy on the ball. Lecce instead were aggressive against Napoli, they put a lot of men forward, and they took advantage of the fact that Napoli are still without Victor Osimhen. That allowed them to push higher up the field without fearing that they would get exposed behind them. And Napoli suffered as a result. Without having that offensive outlet, Napoli is not the same team. Now, I've put a poll on whether you guys think that this was a win that we deserved, yes or no. Now, it'd be interesting to see what you guys have to say. For me personally, I think this was a lucky win. I think we deserved a draw out of this game. I think Lecce are going to feel hard done not to come away with at least a point. But guys, these are the games that we have to win, the ones that we don't play so well. And, you know, champions in the end, they basically are made by winning these type of games. Maximus1318 says, hey Dom, maybe take a second or two before you start talking because we have to deal with ads in the beginning. Okay. I did not know about that. I didn't even know YouTube puts in ads while the live is happening. But okay, perfect. I will do that. Thanks for your feedback. This is the kind of stuff that you guys got to tell me. Anthony Navarro says, quickly before I walk into church. Anthony G, that is 100% accurate. I feel like I was watching the Napoli that bottles everything. Dude, I had the same exact impression. Where did Anthony G says this? Let me go all the way up to find that comment from Anthony G. He says, man, the last two games remind me of Napoli teams of years past. Yeah, 100% agree. And Anthony continues to say, it's crazy that Osimhen appears to be the one that is the most open to selling this postseason. They should seriously rethink that because we are not even close to the same team without him. I agree. I mean, look, we went through a few games earlier this season, 7 or so games where we didn't have Osimhen, and to be fair, we won all those earlier games. Now, in the last 2 games, we have suffered without him. And I think it's the whole team that is not quite at the same tempo. Yeah, you know, when the rest of the team is not really in form, maybe right after an international break, I think it accentuates even more the fact that Osimhen is not there. Yeah, Anthony Navarro says that Simeone being hurt now definitely kills my confidence as a fan. And regardless of this result, I'm worried about the Champions League now. And Lecce with a better team tonight felt this like one of those Juve wins in 2018 where they were just given the win. Yeah, it does feel like that. I am a little bit worried for the Champions League. If we're going to play like this against Milan, we're going to get battered again. Like, that 4-0 is not going to be a one-off if we show up with the same sort of spirit as we did today. Let's read some comments of people that are not called Anthony now. While you guys keep on smashing that like button and voting, there are twice as many people that voted than people that are smashing the like button. So I guess you guys hate me. That's the only logical conclusion I can take from this. No, guys, I'm kidding. Smash that like button if you are enjoying the video, if you are happy that Napoli won, even though the performance wasn't so good, but let's make sure we have a good performance. Maximus1318 says something looks off yet again. Hafiz Yusuf says, right now I don't care how we score, we need this win, which is true. Like, at the end of the day, we just need 3 points. You know, we need to basically put the Milan defeat aside, and step 1 is get 3 points. Then step 2 was find our form again. It'd be ideal if we could make those things happen together, but I don't mind if that's a more step-by-step approach as well. as long as we get 3 points. Because could you imagine the newspapers and the media if we had not come away with 3 points against Lecce? Nicholas says, not a good game. We're up 1-2, sure, but Napoli's not playing at the level we know they can play at. I do wonder if this is because of the way Lecce played, if it's all because of Osimhen not being there, if it's the players being tired. I really don't know. Maybe they're not concentrated on the Serie A as much. It'd be interesting to see, and I think we will only get our answer in the Champions League against Milan, and maybe a more complete answer once Victor Osimhen is back in the team. I was super surprised actually in the first half when I was looking at the stats, and I expected to see a pass accuracy of between 70 and 80%, and it ended up being 88%. And I thought to myself, this is exactly why stats don't tell you everything, because Napoli today looked awful. Just about every forward pass that we tried to make, we screwed it up, especially in the first half. And really did not like this. And yeah. Maximus says Kvara went MIA again. Maybe this shows that him and Victor both need each other. And that's a very cute line right there. I think they do obviously escalate themselves, or they build off each other quite well. I don't think Kvara was the problem today. I actually thought he was okay. He made a few dribbles. Obviously, you can't really expect him to light up the show every single time. But definitely, there was other players that also weren't helping him out too much. Definitely I wouldn't focus on his performance too much. Mike Xstad says, looking sleepy out there. Yeah, guys, I'll be honest. I nearly fell asleep in the first half. I nearly fell asleep. Like, it was that bad. And it never happens to me during a Napoli game. It might be because I'm tired or something, but I almost dozed off towards the end there. Sufus Koba says, I'm done with Anguissa. He is playing so poorly. I'm really worried about Champions League next week. The whole midfield just went down, not by a level, but by 2 or 3 levels. It's now, you'll see it in the player ratings. It's now the second week in a row where they're just not scoring the levels that they were scoring earlier on. Thank you, Mike Xstat, speaking of which, for the $5 donation. Thanks for your continuous support to the channel, man. I really appreciate it. Says, tell us about Lecce on and off the pitch. What is the character of the club, fans, Ultra City, etc.? We played with Insigne energy today. Oh God, he's asking me to go on a history lesson here. Look, Lecce has always been a difficult place to go against. The fans are pretty passionate. Southern Italian team. We don't have the best of reports with them. I think during the game as well, for those of you that understand Italian, you could hear some chants against us. I didn't hear anything too bad. Just like, we are not Neapolitan was what they were singing, what I could hear. So nothing crazy. But it is what it is now. We got to get used to it from everyone nowadays. And yeah, it's a club that has been on and off Serie A over the last few decades. I remember one of my first game, maybe my first ever game at what was called the San Paolo was against Lecce back in Serie C, Serie B, maybe something like that, in the early 2000s. And then there was obviously I think one of the greatest moments in Napoli history in the last 20 years at least was a Napoli-Lecce game with Grava saving the ball on the line in the 90th minute, and then Napoli countering with Cavani. The score is 0-0, and Cavani dribbles past 3 players and from outside of the box smashes it into the top corner. That was an insane goal by Cavani. If you haven't watched it, and if you're new to Napoli, Google Cavani Lecce. It will, trust me, you will enjoy that. Napoli Nation TV says, Big Dom, that was rough, but you're right. Champions gets wins like this. Not worried for match versus Milan, right? Look, I think against Milan, the fact that we're playing against Milan, that we want to get our revenge, the fact that it's a Champions League game. The motivations will definitely automatically be higher. Like whatever is our baseline level coming into the game, it will be elevated. The problem is Milan is also going to feel the hype of the Champions League, this and that and the other. So, you know, if they're going to play even better than what they did against us in the Serie A, then we're in for a tough game. We need to make sure that whatever step we take in the Champions League, it's a big one. It can't be a small step. We have to really step it up, because if we show up like we did in the last two games, that 4-0 is not going to be a one-off. Username says, our center seems exhausted. They can't run with the same energy and vigor as they used to. Spalletti should have rested them more. I hope I'm wrong, but I think we've hit the burnout phase. I had the same feeling. I think our team came into form a little bit too early. I think everybody was super worried, and maybe Spalletti himself was super worried about Napoli not crumbling in January, February, March, because his teams are known, or people say that his teams crumble around that time of the year. And maybe he did a training plan that made sure that we didn't crumble at that time of the year, and that has helped us tremendously to put a 20-point gap on everybody else. But I'm wondering if, as you say, now is when we're starting to feel the tired legs. I wonder if maybe we could have done a bit more with Ndombele and Elmas and Simeone and all that kind of stuff, Juan Jesus, Ostigard, in games where we were winning comfortably, you know? I really do wonder. I mean, Kim, for example, Kim's been on a yellow card for the last 4 or 5 games, has traveled across the globe to South Korea, has come back. Like, this guy hasn't rested at all. And he said himself that he's tired when he was in South Korea. So I do wonder why we play him against Lecce. Why not rest him for the Champions League? I really don't know. And Jacksu has the same opinion. He says, I'm worried that the typical Spalletti winter was just postponed, and it's now getting to us. Highbury 10 says, this clearly shows that Osimhen is the heartbeat of this team. I still remember how Napoli were leading in the league last season with 8 points until Osimhen's eye socket fracture. Yeah, I mean, Osimhen he's a world-class player. Like, we definitely miss him. I don't think it's that simple, because, as I said earlier this season, we went 7 games without Osimhen, and we won all 7 games, including Champions League games. So not just against, Serie A teams. Like, we played big teams without Osimhen. So I don't think it's that easy. I don't think it's that easy to just say, oh, Osimhen is not there. Like, I think it's the whole team that is not clicking as it was before the break. Whether that is a physical aspect, whether it's a motivational aspect, because maybe they're just waiting for the Champions League. I really don't know. Guys, a lot of you are saying that we deserved a draw. The majority of you are saying that we deserved the draw. A good chunk of you are saying that we deserve the win. And then obviously very few percent say that we deserve to lose. Obviously, I don't think we deserve to lose at all. But at least the draw. But having said that, imagine a sport, imagine football, where you could only either win or lose. If you remove the draw, then I think we are closer to deserving a loss than deserving a win, because our second goal, we had literally nothing to do with it. It was just Lecce that committed, whatever they did. And I think they had the better chances throughout the game. So, yeah, a bit worrying, but hey, in football, a draw exists. I don't think Lecce did enough to merit a win. So that's where I think we deserved to be, but we got a win. Which is nice. It's always nice. Georgie says, hey Dom, just a random question. Did you play football in youth teams? I mean, were you in any youth club when you were younger? So I played a lot of football when I was growing up, but basically I grew up like in my high school years. I was in Paris, and I played against like Marcus Thuram and all these guys. I played a little bit in Naples with Verdi, who now is in Spezia. So I got a chance to play with, like, back then I didn't know that they were gonna make it. I got a chance to play with some really good guys. But then I tore my ACL when I was 14, so I didn't really, yeah, I stopped there, and then I started looking at football in a more tactical way, and then I came back from the injury, not 100%, but it made me, I would say, even made me a better player, because I was so scared to get injured again that I was just starting to play like one-touch football, so that opponents wouldn't come close to me. But yeah, I never made it to like very high levels at all. Let's see. Sufus Koba says, I do think that Oliveira will play against Milan, which will probably be a huge improvement. Rui was no help the last few games. Look, I mean, Rui's cross caused the second goal. When Rui got red carded against Empoli and then he wasn't there against Lazio, we lost the game and Oliveira was playing. So I don't think the problem is whether we have Rui or Oliveira on the field. I think it's the collective is just not clicking right now, and it's making all these individual players' performance not quite work. Kart Veli says, Paris, you're a globetrotter. Yes, I have lived in 7 countries. Italy, Indonesia, Malaysia, Singapore, France, UK, and now in Spain. So, yeah, every 3 or 4 years, basically, I've moved. Highbury 10 says, I agree it's the whole team, but Osimhen's absence has left a massive void, which can be clearly seen. Yeah, and we'll talk about it. So let's okay, we got 50 likes, which is, not the highest we've had. Usually I ask for about 100 before I go into the match analysis, but I know that, people are not so enthusiastic after not winning convincingly against Lecce. So let's pretend like that's fine, and let's go to the match analysis, where we can explain a little bit of why Napoli struggled today. Let me just see if there's maybe one last comment to take. Okay, Georgie is asking what position I was playing. There was a point where I was playing on the left wing, and then I lost my speed. So then I went back to center midfield when I got back from the injury. And I was playing a sort of like Lobotka, Jorginho type of role. Also because I didn't really like running, and so I like to just be in front of the defense and just stay a bit more there instead of like sprinting down the wing. So yeah, the laziness in me made me a defensive midfielder. I didn't like to do the defending. I didn't like to track back. I just like to ping the ball forward. Jackson says, you think our chances are really slim right now? Should we only try to push the Scudetto win and that's it? I can't find any positives other than Osimhen coming back to the first Champions League game. Look, I don't think they're really slim. I think our chances went from being 80% in our favor against Milan to now it's a 50-50 game. Like, I honestly think now playing against Milan, it's 50-50. It can go either way. I don't think they have the advantage on us. The 20 points ahead of them in the league is still massive. So, I think that's worth something. I think we've got that in ourselves. If we pull off a performance like that, we should be fine. But definitely, it's a little worrying that we've lost a bit of sharpness. Vincenzo Bertillo, thank you for the $13.99 Canadian dollars. Thanks for joining the chat. He says, that was a win of champions, ugly and stressful to watch, but 3 points and another step towards the Scudetto. Forza Napoli sempre. And you're right, now it's only 12 points needed for the Scudetto, and this is exactly the type of win when you accumulate it over the course of a season, you get 3 or 4 of these. That makes a difference between champions and non-champions. This is a game that over the years, there's no chance we would have won. But today, I don't know. This season in general, luck has kind of been on our side, but for luck to be on your side, you have to go and find it. You have to go and get it. And I think that's what happened today. Definitely, we need to fix a few things. Now, let's take a look at what happened in the game. Now, I think we had a bit of an. I think it shows that these players maybe are lacking a little bit of confidence after the Milan game, because some of their decision making was ultra conservative today. So, for example, you've got this situation here early in the first half. It's 0-0, where Kim passes it to Mario Rui. Mario Rui passes it along to Elmas, and I personally think that Elmas here should have played it to Kvaratskhelia. Like, there should have been a triangle movement where he plays it to Kvaratskhelia, Mario Rui continues his run, Elmas goes inside. You know, I feel like the Napoli that was smooth back in October, back in February, they would have done something like that. Instead, what does Elmas do? He passes it back to Kim. And by the way, Kim has already gone back and forth with Mario Rui and Rahmani like 5 times here. Like, we are really not able to progress, and that was the story of the first half. We had Lecce, as you can see here, with 5, 6, even sometimes 7 people forward, and Napoli was not willing to take the chance to go through them. And half the time that we did, it was a very sloppy pass. It allowed Lecce players to get on the Napoli players, or the pass went outside or went too long. It didn't feel good. It didn't feel good that we were doing all these backwards passes, all these sloppy passes. And actually, the first big chance of the game happens with Lecce, Lecce catching us out of possession. They counter down the right-hand side. They ping a ball to the far post. It gets pulled back, and on the volley, this shot is taken, and Mered has to pull off quite a good save. You know, maybe the ball didn't have a lot of power, but still, he's on full stretch here, and it could have been very dangerous for us. But we allowed them to steal the ball from us way too easily. And then we allowed them to get into the box way too easily. And look at this, like 11 minutes into the game, look at the confidence that Lecce has against us. Like, they definitely smelled blood today after that defeat that we had against Milan. This is all their players in Napoli's third, and we're forced all the way back. I've not seen a team in the bottom positions of the table ever do this to us recently. But here, look, I mean, how easy could this have been for this Lecce player to play the ball down the right-hand side for the underlapping run and for Napoli to be cut out? Mario Rui, Kvara, and Elmas here are not doing enough to help Napoli. They're way too far away from the carrier of the ball. No one's marking the guy behind them that's free. This is a very dangerous situation, which luckily didn't result in anything. But again, if this happens against Milan, if there's Brahim Diaz and Leao here, like, this is a problem. We cannot have this happen against Milan. Now, before I move forward, let me get some of the comments. Vincenzo says Kim, Dilo, and Lobo were back to their best at least. Di Lorenzo, yes. Di Lorenzo's back to his best. Honestly, I don't think Kim and Lobo were at their best. I just didn't feel like they were at their best today. Lobo was sloppy at times on the ball. Kim as well. I don't know. I really didn't see that today. Georgie says Mario Rui is kind of a player who always searches someone in the center. When he receives the ball, I already know that he will look for the center. Yeah, I mean, he's obviously one to do that. Today it was super difficult with Raspadori because, guys, like, Raspadori is as tall as, you know, Mertens or Mario Rui himself. It's super difficult for Mario Rui to find the right cross for him. It either has to be that Raspadori makes a movement which wins himself a meter of space, so then, you know, you can find a good pass, or it has to be a low ball into the box. But it can't be a ball where it's a 50-50 with the defender, and, you know, in those cases maybe Simeone or Simeone could win them, but Raspadori doesn't have the skill set, the height, the jump to win those kind of headers. He needs balls that are played in the space or on his feet, and it makes Mario Rui's job much more difficult. So when we analyze Mario Rui's performance today, we also have to take into consideration who he had to play with. in attack, and it's not easy playing with a short striker in attack if you're a winger or a fullback. Do you think they can find their confidence next week against Milan? Says Big Mike. Look, maybe. I think, as I said, the Champions League, it's a different competition, different vibe. Maybe they're conserving some energy for that. Maybe they're already focused on that. And so when the time comes, they'll be able to play better. I hope that's the case, but it's super hard to tell. And, I'm interested to see how Milan plays their game before that to, understand what's their level coming into it. RBZ says, what happened with the Ultras? I saw you tweeted something about them starting a chant against ADL after the goal. Yeah, so basically after we score the goal, and we'll get to it, like the Ultras started chanting against De Laurentiis after like 2 seconds, and I'm like, guys, we just scored a goal. Why are you thinking about De Laurentiis? It's like, I don't know. At least give yourself like a minute to celebrate the goal. If you're thinking about De Laurentiis first thing after a goal, it means that you don't care about the team as much as you say you do. You just care about winning your argument against some guy. But I have a whole video on the Ultras situation coming up. It's almost done. It's kind of long, so I'm trying to cut it because I know that people don't want to listen to stuff that's too long, but I want to pack in as much information as possible. So the editing has taken me kind of a long time. So yeah, but it'll come out soon because it's already recorded. Right. Let's talk more about how Lecce made it difficult for us. So, we couldn't find Lobotka down the middle in midfield because Lecce had this cage around him. So what Lobotka tried to do in the first half was he tried to come in between the center backs, and the center backs push out, then the wingers, the fullbacks push out, and then the wingers as well. And we tried to basically, we lose a man in the midfield, we lose Lobotka in the midfield because he's usually the one that likes to receive the ball where Elmas is right now. We lose Elmas there, but we gain width. The problem was that Lecce didn't fall into that trap. Lecce maintained their super tight position, and we were too slow to give the ball to Mairui. This only works if Lobotka gives the ball fast to Kim and Kim gives the ball fast to Mairui. Then we've beaten those 6 players that you see on the screen. But if you take time and you're slow to pass the ball and you take 3 touches and you call your mother while you're doing it, and you if you're too slow, then it doesn't work. Then Lecce, the whole block just moves down and covers Mairui. You've got to do it fast, and we weren't doing that. So that was a problem for us. Lecce were just more reactive, faster, and kept a good position. And in doing this, we also lose a person in the midfield. Also, I want you guys to know Lecce's position on the field with regards to their defense. This is a super high line that they're taking. You can see Umtiti and Baskirotti and all these guys. This is super high. With Osimhen, there is no way that Lecce would have played this high, because if we ping a ball over that line, Osimhen is going to attack them down the middle and score probably. But because we have Raspadori playing, then he's not as quick, and Lecce can play more forward. And by the defense playing more forward, it makes their midfield move forward and their attack move forward, and just puts a lot more pressure on Napoli's midfield and Napoli's defense, and makes it really difficult for us to build a play. So it was the whole team that worked towards making it difficult for us. So that was really why I think we struggled today. It was just super difficult. Let's see. Let me put the volume a little bit higher, since you guys are saying that it's low. All right, maybe like this is better. All right, let's see here. One sec. Let me adjust that. All right, maybe now. Maybe now. I don't know. Let me know, guys. Let me know if that's better. If the volume's better. But yeah. Michael Sass says, Dom, just spoke my mind this season. Napoli has been playing fast-paced passes. They knew what they wanted to do before receiving the ball, but currently no. And Osimhen, I hope he recovers soon. Yeah, I mean, I really hope Osimhen recovers soon. I also really, agree with you that we've been playing fast football and we knew exactly what our teammate was going to do. Today, it felt like we were waiting for the ball to arrive. We didn't anticipate the ball. So, yeah. River Flow Sinew says the sound's better. Cool. Good to know. Reports said it was the Lecce Ultras. I don't know. I don't think so. I don't think the Lecce Ultras were chanting against De Laurentiis. I don't think they care. Paul Vives Escobar says, which starting 11 would you think would be playing against Milan? So I think, look, Raspadori is going to start because Simeone apparently is injured. I don't think Osimhen will start. I think he'll come on in the second half. Kvara on the left. On the right, I think we'll change it up from Politano. We're gonna give Lozano a chance, just because we had Politano last time in the league. Even though Politano was rested today, so who knows? And I think he is playing a little bit better than Lozano recently. Even though Lozano had a great game against Frankfurt, for example, and we didn't expect that. So who knows? Maybe Lozano in the Champions League steps it up a little bit. Okay, I gotta make my mind up. I'll say Lozano on the right. The midfield three will be Zielinski, Anguissa, and Lobotka for sure. And the back four, I think, will be Oliveira, and then the other three, the usual three, Kim, Rahmani, and Di Lorenzo. I think it will be Oliveira instead of Mauro Rui because, as we said before, I think Mauro Rui needs people that are going to attack headers in the box, whereas maybe Oliveira is less of a crosser and more of a guy that kind of just takes the ball with him and runs towards goal. And maybe with that, he can play better to Raspadori's strength. He can get close to Raspadori down the middle, play those little 1-2s with him. So I see that working out a little bit more. And we suffered a lot down that side against Milan the other day. So I think changing it up a little bit might actually be good. So yeah, I think Oliveira will start. And I think maybe that's why he was rested today as well. Anyways, yeah, we get to how we were sloppy. I mean, look at that. Like, we had the ball there and Lobotka lost it, sloppy. So, some people, I think Vincenzo was saying that he was back to his best. This is not really Lobotka's best. Yeah. I think it just shows that we're not really into it mentally. Right, but we get a goal thanks to Capitan Di Lorenzo. He finds some space in between all those Lecce players from the developments of a corner. Kim, out of all people, is the one that crosses the ball. Di Lorenzo today was really like our most dangerous attacker because he was found multiple times in attacking situations, and we'll see that later on in the slides. But in the start of the second half, it was Lecce that had a great chance to equalize. Here we get caught out in defense. Again, this is why I don't think Kim and Rahmani had that good of a game. Like, Lecce were actually way too dangerous for what I consider to be like our level versus their level. Like, there's no way Lecce should be playing in balls behind us and we get beat like that. So, we're just thankful that he didn't make a great connection and Meret could save it. But then we get to the goal that they score. And again, our defenders don't deal with it. We are too slow to win the first ball, the second ball, and the third ball. There's 3 different moments in this goal that we could have intervened and we failed to do so. Baschirotty with the first header puts it across the goal. I think it's maybe Umtiti that puts it on the crossbar. It bounces back. Everybody is ball watching. Lobotka can't get there. Anguissa can't get there. But Di Francesco gets there. And between all those legs, he gets a goal. But then Napoli responds with the goal themselves, the lucky one that we've been talking about, with a Mairui cross to really no one. Like Raspadori is nowhere near this cross. The Lecce defender is under no pressure, and I think he's just caught between two minds. He doesn't know whether to chest it, whether to clear it. In the end, he does a bit of a mix with his knee, his thigh, something like that. The goalkeeper doesn't expect it. He makes a mess out of it, and the ball goes in the back of the net, and that's 2-1 Napoli. Now, we were talking about Di Lorenzo being our most dangerous striker. This is a great through ball by Ndombele, and look who's on the end of that. That was Di Lorenzo in the 76th minute. We're only one goal up, but he's there making these sort of runs. That's exactly what you want from your player. And by the way, this pass from Ndombele was really nice. Like, if there's one thing that's really good about Ndombele compared to the other midfielders that we have, is that he more often than not tries to find a through ball. Which, look, Lobotka doesn't really have it in him. Lobotka doesn't play these sort of forward passes. He likes to just move around with the ball, play it to the guy next to him, which is very useful. It's a very like Busquets-like approach, but sometimes you need that pass down the middle, which he doesn't have. Anguissa doesn't really have that either. Zielinski doesn't really have that either. Zielinski has the quality to do that, but he doesn't do that enough. Whereas Ndombele continuously tries to look for this. I'm not saying he's a better player. I'm just saying I like this particular aspect of his game. I wish one of the other three midfielders that we had were doing this a bit more often as well. And then we get to the very end of the game, where actually we concede 2 corners for Lecce, which is, crazy. We should be keeping the ball much better than that. But no, we allow Lecce to have 2 corners at the end of the game in the 95th minute. Their goalkeeper comes all the way up. We manage to counter, and then the referee blows the whistle here. Now, look, there were a few substitutions made in those 5 minutes of added time, plus corners, this, that, and the other. So I personally feel like this game could have gone on for another few seconds, at least another 3 seconds to allow Politano to take a shot here. The referee blew, this was very borderline. I think if he let the game go on, it would have been justified. It's also kind of justified to blow the whistle because we're already 30 seconds above what is said before, even though, as we said before, we had substitutions and so on. Anyways, what I liked was that the Napoli players all were protesting about this. So at least we showed that we care about scoring a third goal. Even if we literally had already won the game. The referee blew his whistle, but we still protested, which was nice, I guess. Overall, these are the match stats. And I'm not gonna go too much into it. I'm really not. It's also in Spanish, so I don't know how many of you guys will understand this. I don't think they show at all the amount of difficulty that we had. It says that we had 86 pass accuracy and Lecce only 73 and this and that. And we had almost 70% possession. It makes it feel like we dominated Lecce if you take a look at the possession and passing. But then if you take a look at the shots, you've got Lecce with more shots than us and the same amount of shots on target, with Lecce having more corners than us, 5 against 4. So what that actually shows is that Lecce were the more dangerous team. They were the ones that had more chances. It was a much more even game than the possession would tell you. So that's kind of worrying. And now finally we get to go to the player ratings, but let me see if there's any more comments. Michael says, I read that one. Napoli Nation TV says Lecce did anti-ADL chance a couple times. It's interesting. Mike X says, I love long football videos, to be honest. No need to cut down the video about the ultras, in my opinion. Yeah, I know. Some people love it. I did a survey the other time, and some of you guys like love the long format. Some of you guys don't like the long formats. Actually, there was so many different answers, and so like the opinions were so split evenly between what you guys like and don't like, that it actually made it very difficult for me to then take those take those results and like really focus in on a specific type of content, because some people love this, some people love that, and it's, there was no clear answer out of it. But anyways, let's go into the formation, the player ratings. Now, for me, I don't know why Meret has a 3 there. That's a mistake. Let me fix that. Timeout, timeout. Let me fix that. That's a mistake. I forgot to update it from last time. Meret for me gets a 6. Okay, let me change that. Let me change that for Meret. 1 second, guys. I'm gonna have to do this live, which is never ideal because I use Photoshop to do this, and now I have to do it in my streaming software, so it's not good. All right, 1 sec. Meret gets a 6, not a 3. Also, I don't know why that 3 is green. 3s are usually red. All right, cool. So, basically, what I'm trying to say from this game, even Spalletti gets a 6. What I'm trying to say from this game is that everybody was just bang average. I don't think anybody is going to look back at this Lecce game and say, wow, this is my top 20 of this is going to go down into everybody's worst 10 of the season, and some people maybe even worst 5 of the season. I do think Kvara made some good dribbling, tried to make things work, so he gets a little bit higher. The only person that I feel was really like, okay, this was their game, like he's actually going to look back and put this maybe in his top 5 performances, is going to be Di Lorenzo, because he got the goal. He was the closest person to the ball in the second goal. He was continuing to attack. Defending wise, he stopped 2 counters. So, I think he did everything a captain needed to do. He was literally everywhere on the field. Great performance by Di Lorenzo. Exactly what you need from a captain. Just the definition of leading by example, I think, in my opinion. It's very fitting that he got this first goal after a big defeat. I really did not like Lozano and Raspadori. Having said that, I think that they will start against Milan, like I said before. But I don't know, just not enough. Raspadori as well, back against the goal most times, sloppy passing. I don't know. Maybe I'm comparing him too much to what it would have been like with Osimhen there, and maybe that's a bit of a harsh comparison. So yeah, and Lozano, maybe he didn't have too much to play with either. Maybe I'm being harsh, but I'm still waiting for Lozano to have like a good run of form. He had this excellent game against Frankfurt, 1 or 2 games before the break, and that's it. And even then, he didn't score in those games. He just played good. He had a good assist, and I'm just waiting. Like, where is the Lozano that I think can get 15 goals a season? Where is the Lozano that when you're 0-0 can unblock the game? That's what I need from a forward guy. We can't expect it every time from Kvaratskhelia. Kvaratskhelia has done it enough times. We need, in games like these, for guys like Lozano to step it up. It can't always be Kvara. And it definitely shouldn't be Di Lorenzo that solves it for us, even though he did, and I'm obviously thankful for it. Let's see. Napoli Nation says, I'm a little harsh on Chucky. I don't know. You have to consider Chucky as our second most expensive player. Like, guys, I want you to, when we do these player ratings, like, you also need to consider like the context of the player. Like, Lozano has the highest salary on par with Osimhen. Osimhen has literally given us like 30 points this season by himself, and maybe Kvara another 30 himself. What has Lozano done to justify his salary, to justify the the fact that he's our second most expensive player with 42 million. Like, it's not even his first season. It's his, like, fourth season. Like, this guy should be one of the leaders of the team. He should be resolving games for us. It's not enough to just have one good assist against Frankfurt in the Champions League. I mean, yes, super important, of course. But, come on, we need more. We need him to be at the same level of Osimhen and Kvara. And when Osimhen is not there, especially then, you need some guy like Lozano to step it up. So that's where, for me, Lozano just... I don't know. I really just... I can't get behind that player. I really can't. I wish him well. I want him to do well. I'm happier when he does well. I have no problem giving him 8 or 9s or 10s out of 10 if he plays well. But I'm just kind of tired of it not happening enough. So, yeah. Kim should be more than a 6 for me, says Vincenzo. Was everywhere and even created a goal from the wing position. You know what? You're actually right on there. I'm going to change Kim's rating for the simple reason that when I made this player rating, I had completely forgotten that Kim was made the assist for Di Lorenzo. I remembered about it when I looked at that screenshot that I made. So I'm gonna change Kim to 6.5. I do think though that that's the limit because he kind of, together with the old defense, suffered maybe a bit too much Lecce for my liking personally. So there we go, 6.5. There, it's official. Well, now it says 66.5. So yeah, definitely not that high. Let me cross out the 6. Alright, there we go. Crossed out. Oh, now he looks like he has a minus 6.5. Anyways, you guys get it. This is why post editing is not good. Should be done on Photoshop. Anyways. Rafael Cervantes says they don't pass to Lozano. I don't know. I mean, Lozano, think about Politano. When he gets the ball, Politano half the time gets the ball in his own half and makes things happen. He takes the ball and runs with it. Now, I don't like Politano too much either. I don't think his decision making is that good, and I didn't give him a good score. I gave him a 6 out of 10. But this whole idea of, Lozano's not getting past the ball, and Kvara fans will say, Kvara's not getting past the ball, and then you've got Osimhen fans are saying, Osimhen's not getting past the ball. It's like, yes, there's not always... They don't always get past the ball when they should, and I agree with you. At the same time, they have enough possession of the ball where when they do have it, they should be doing more with it. So yeah. Payman Dadgar, thank you so much, man, for your £4.99 donation. Thanks for supporting the channel as always. Says, very disappointing game. We lack creativity without Zielinski and Lobo in top form, and Osimhen on to make sure others don't press. Think we lose to Milan. Oof. Payman, man. Look, we definitely missed Osimhen, but we missed him. It's funny because we showed it from the slides before. We missed him not so much because of the goals, but we missed him because when Lecce plays... When we don't play with Osimhen, Lecce and other teams can play a much higher line with their back four, which means their midfielders and attackers can push us further up the field. And this makes it super difficult for us to play. With Osimhen, those guys can't be that high up the field because they're going to get exposed at the back. And therefore, the midfield also has to track back a little bit more, and we have a bit more space with Lobotka to maneuver. So, when we say we miss Osimhen, we have to also remember that it's not just the goal-scoring aspect, it's how the whole movement starts from way back to where the goalkeeper has the ball. We also don't have that outlet where if we're getting pressed, Meret can just launch it forward to Osimhen, and Osimhen can fight with some defenders, control it, give it off to Kvara or Lozano down the wing. You can't do that with Raspadori in the middle, which is a bit of a problem. So Yeah. Mike Xstat says, for the record, you're not too hard on Lozano. He's a hustle merchant, but nothing else. Sorry, I'm watching on a delay. Yeah, I love Lozano's work ethic. I mean, he is a hustler. I never had any problem with his attitude. I just have a problem with his output. It's way too low for what we thought we were getting out of him. So yeah, it feels like he's the one that we bought for 10 million and Kvara's the one that we bought for 40, not the other way around. Anyways, guys, our next games are against obviously Milan in the Champions League away from home. Then we have a home game against Verona, super difficult. I hope the crowd is going to be backing the team for that. I hope we can have a good game, which then leads on to the Napoli-Milan game after that, then Juventus, so 4 super difficult games, and then the derby against Salernitana. Now, we only need 4 wins, right, to clinch the Scudetto, which means, but this also depends on games such as Lazio versus Juventus happening tomorrow. So it could mean that against Salernitana we might perhaps win the title. If not, it could be the next game. If it's the next game, I'm in trouble because I have a thing planned for that weekend and I'm gonna have to cancel so I can go to Naples. But yeah, I already paid for that thing, so that's unfortunate. We should have had this sorted either before or after that. Anyways, that's my personal problem. That's obviously the earlier Napoli can win it, the better. Now let's see what Spalletti had to say before we wrap this up. All right. Also, yeah, Juve can get their points back, so it's gonna be a weird one because we might be celebrating the title, thinking we won the Scudetto, and then they say, oh, actually, we're canceling Juventus's 15-point penalty, so you still have to win another 3 or 2 games or whatever the case may be to be mathematical champions. I think we're still going to be champions overall, but we might be celebrating twice. So, yeah, let's see what Spalletti and Di Lorenzo had to say. So let's maybe start off with Di Lorenzo, even though we've got Spalletti's big head over there on the screen. So Di Lorenzo says, we knew that this was a tricky game and a very important game for us against a very organized team. They're trained very well, and today we saw it. These are 3 fundamental points, and we continue the path towards our dream. After the goal, they ask him, after the goal, you basically got everybody to celebrate, even those on the bench, and he says, yes, that's the beauty of this team this year. It's the group. Everybody participates, those that start the game, those that enter midway into the game, and those that remain on the bench. It was a very important goal that I dedicated to my teammates. Spalletti said after the game that you spoke to the team. What did you say? He says, I just continued the speech that the coach gave. That against Milan was a very off game. It can't distract us from the objective that we have, and it definitely doesn't cancel everything that we've done so far. Lecce is a very difficult place to go and play. The other big teams here have lost points, so it was important to win. We will focus on the Champions League game against Milan starting from tomorrow. We have to approach it with serenity, and we have to continue doing what we did, which have given us all these points in the table. We have to go out there carefree. We have to go there with enthusiasm, and then with the coach we'll figure out how we can take on Milan. So that's what Di Lorenzo had to say. Now with what Spalletti has to say. Spalletti says, look, I deal with players that they know exactly what kind of attitude they have to bring to the game. They knew that this was a difficult field. Lecce had some very good results against some of the big teams. It's a team that maybe plays better when they play against tougher oppositions. They are extremely well organized on the field. It wasn't easy to come here and get the win after the loss that we had last week, and also after some players were not at their best physically. This result gives us a bit of tranquility to prepare the next games better. Let me just get some water, guys. Simeone, how is he? They ask him, and he says, we need to evaluate him. He had a little bit of a problem behind his leg. It seems muscular, then it seemed to be the knee, so something maybe above the knee. When he sat down, it was again the muscle, so we're not really sure what it is. We have to calmly see what it is tomorrow. Osimhen would like to play every single game, even when he Osimhen would like to play every single game, but we need to evaluate his situation very well. The doctors tell me that it was better to rest him for the championship. And now let's see if we can have him do a bit of activity and pressurize the muscles before the Milan game, because so far he's only been running very lightly. The players, they have a desire to play. Unfortunately, other players in the team don't have his same skill sets. He has a great acceleration, great physique, knows how to attack the space. He knows how to control the ball very well. We can't ask Raspadori to do the exact same thing. He had a decent first half, even though he made a few mistakes, but he was able to play decently with the midfielders. We could have done better, but other than that, we had great equilibrium, and the team, didn't suffer too much against a very tough opponent. And today we showed that we can react even after a big defeat like the one against Milan. We were able to come away with the 3 points. So congrats to the players. And Di Lorenzo, there's a reason why he's the captain. This armband is giving him even more responsibility and even more strength. It's incredible to see him on the field. He demonstrates to everyone what is the right attitude to have in the way he speaks, in the way he plays, in the way he defends, in the way he attacks, and the way he behaves inside and outside the dressing room. It's the best thing a coach could ask for. We often talk about modern players, but the modernity of a player is also based on the role, and also, it's just a bonus after being, first of all, like a great person, which Di Lorenzo is. Di Lorenzo is a great guy, and he deserves all the best in the world. So he had a lot to say on Di Lorenzo, Spalletti. He says the ref had a good game, but at the end he should have allowed Politano to shoot instead of blowing the final whistle. The fact that Napoli keep losing games after the international break, he says, look, everybody needs to go to the national team. It's not necessarily because of that, but this time our players came back extremely tired. So let's hope we can recover some energy. We will be ready against Milan, even though tonight we still showed a few errors. But we always had the game under control. Elmas showed great enthusiasm, and he had he showed great availability to spend energy. He has a lot of quality, and actually sometimes he runs a little bit too much, and that makes him not so lucid when he's under goal, like when he's close to the goal, because maybe he's running too much before. So that's Spalletti. A lot of praise for guys like Elmas, Di Lorenzo, and he admits that we have a bit of energy problem we had a bit of an energy problem after the break. I mean, Kim himself in Korea, as we said before, said that he was super tired. I hope against Milan they're able to rest a bit more. Vano Tavadzde saying, yes, very worrying indeed. Leao is rested as well. Oof. yeah, Leao and Brahim Diaz. If Milan rest them, then that's that's worrying because those two guys are quite good. Let's be honest. He continues to say Napoli should play defensive and use wingers to counter. I disagree there because Napoli, we play better when we keep possession of the ball. Somehow, against Milan, we need to win the midfield battle. If we win the midfield and we have possession of the ball, and it's a controlled possession, not a frenzied possession, then I think we can win. If we start absorbing Milan's pressure and counter, look, it could work, especially away from home. But I don't think Napoli has too much experience. I don't have too much experience with them doing that kind of tactic. So, yeah. Anthony Navarro says, bro, you are still live. I just got out of church. Yeah. I mean, Anthony literally joined the live, went to church, came back, and I'm still live. And it's 10 p.m. I haven't had dinner yet. So you know what? I will end it there because I need to go have dinner. I mean, I live in Spain, so dinner here starts at like 10:30 anyways. But I gotta bounce. I'm actually didn't realize it was this late. But yeah, guys, we won the game. Great 3 points, one step closer to the Scudetto, regardless of the fact that we didn't play super well. We were a bit lucky, in my opinion, to come out with 3 points. But as Vincenzo and other guys said, it was the stuff of champions. This is what champions do. Every team that has won titles has won it the ugly way a few times. And the important thing is that we have these 3 points. Now we have Milan to play against. And that's going to be a cracking game of football. I hope you guys enjoy it. And I hope we get a good result. And yeah, till then, see you guys. And as always, Forza Napoli, sempre. Ciao.